It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show.
Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 386. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hi.
Kodra.
Howdy.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hi there.
So, this has been a reoccurring topic on the podcast that I have dumb luck. Just exceptionally dumb luck.
Mm-hmm.
It has followed me into Guild Wars 2. And I guess I did not realize quite how far and above it is. Because first of all, let's talk about some stuff. Immediately after coming back to the game, I got a bunch of Black Lion keys from doing zone completion. And in one of the Black Lion keys or chests that I opened, I got the most expensive item you could possibly get, worth roughly 4,000 gold.
Wow.
Yeah. Permanent bank contract.
Yeah. I mean, and I have Mistlock, and I couldn't justify just using it because I have Mistlock. I can go anywhere in the world. I can go to bank whenever I want and go right back to where I was at. So I'll take 4,000 gold, thank you.
This is a super rare item to the point that we can't really be sure what the chance of pulling it is, because even though the sample size of Black Lion chests opened is so big, the chance is so tiny that there just isn't enough data.
There's not a whole lot of certainty on that.
And
tiny
the
fraction
problem,
of a percent. This is all we know.
And the problem is, it is also an item that is almost impossible to trade, outside of the Black Lion market, because I think you can only transfer 250 gold or 500 gold or something like that at a time.
I think it's 100 gold.
Yeah. There's there's a total amount of gold per week that you can get from other players. I think it's 500.
So the problem is there is no way to actually do a trade of this item outside of the trading post without going through some other kind of currency.
Cough, mystic coins, cough.
Yep.
So traditionally what is done is they either trade mystic coins or ectos, globs of ectoplasm, which
I feel like that's a bit of a holdover from Guild Wars 1.
Yeah. So basically and honestly, of the two of them, right now, I would probably rather have ectos.
Yeah, ectos are typically worth about 25 silver each. Mystic coins are currently worth about a gold.
Vary between 25 and 30 silver, depending on things.
I mean, people also regularly trade tier 6 materials, or there's a bunch of stable fiat currencies that people use to trade.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a limit to how many of those you can have in a single stack and to how many stacks of things you can have in a single trade.
So how this really works, if you want to get into the sketchy nature of things, is you make sure that you have a guild open and you join a specific guild for trading stuff. And
that sounds annoying.
You are given the ability to extract your gold from the guild bank, because one person puts it into the guild bank and you get to pull it back out. So that's a thing that people do. But I decided I would just take the taxes and sell it on the open market and be done with it, because it was way easier. And I didn't have enough money to actually list the item, so I had to do an instant sale.
Yeah, because there is a fee when you list an item. It's just gone. Even if you don't sell the item, it's still gone. To prevent people from just listing and relisting things over and over. You'll lose a lot of money if you do that. And then an additional fee when you sell the item. But so the fee to list is, I think, 10%.
10%.
Right.
So to list for 5,000 gold, you need 500 gold lying around.
Yeah, I did not have that. I absolutely did not have that.
And then you're not guaranteed anybody's going to buy at the price you listed at.
Yup. But people have posted, buy orders for this item, and I could just instant sell. And, the taxes weren't as bad as I expected it to. So, that is that is irrational item number 1.
This was the start of things.
Irrational item number 2. I found out that Twaddle, aka Taco, drops ascended weapon boxes.
This is generally well known, but nobody ever expects to see one.
Right. So
they're crazy rare.
So I've been running.
We're talking, and I really need to stress this. We're talking Baron mount rare.
Yeah, I've killed Tocatl plenty of times. I have never gotten ascended weapon from him.
So
I think I got an ascended armor box once.
So I have been doing this every day at reset, which at 7:00 my time, Twaddle is the first boss in a rotation of world bosses. Like it's the server resets, and it is the first one. It is also, like the other night, there were 2 full maps that were like completely full, and we were in different ones. So like, it is hard to stress the number of people that are running Twaddle at reset. Like, it's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I've been doing this, and I got an ascended box, and I was happy with it. And then I kept running Twaddle. And less than a week later, I got a second ascended box. So in like 6 days, I've seen 2 of them.
Do you know how long I played this game before I got my first ascended weapon? Let alone multiple ascended weapons.
Like, I'd already crafted 2 ascended weapons, so like that was a thing. But I just was running Twaddle to see if I could get some of the ones that I don't have 500 crafters of. So yeah, like my stupid luck, this deeply irrational luck has followed me to Guild Wars 2, and I'm okay with that.
I mean, on the bright side, the rest of us get to profit some from it.
It's true.
Yeah, because like I've bought 2 stacks of Mystic coins and thrown them in the guild bank.
Yeah, we were able to do a lot of guild upgrades all of a sudden. We've been holding off on because Mystic coins is pricey.
But I can't bring myself just to buy the rest of the leather we need.
I mean,
when I can craft it.
And we can craft it, yeah.
So like Thalen and I are slowly chipping away at crafting the leather we need.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll be done with the leather before we're done with the linseed oil. That's
linseed oil is so horrible.
What is the leather we need?
Polonian leather squares.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, pain.
Yeah. And then it's I think a total of 400 linseed oil for the upgrade we're working on. We're down to needing less than 200 more.
You need 15 flax per linseed oil. And when you harvest a flax, you get 1, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I always stop and harvest linseed or harvest flax because eventually it adds up to a linseed oil.
Yeah, I mean a single linseed oil goes for 50 silver on the market. Like flax is worth your time to pick. Always pick flax.
I feel like for those who have never played Guild Wars 2, it's really important to understand that 50 silver is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which makes the 5,000 gold for a trade contract thing or the permanent auction house guy just an excessive amount of money.
I mean, that is more gold than it costs to buy most legendaries off of the guild, off of the base.
Yeah,
any legendaries. Even Eternity is less than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Eternity is going for about 4,000 gold.
Yep.
What? So why is this so expensive?
Eternity? Because you needed to make 2.
No.
The bank contract?
It's a permanent auction house.
It's just you can access your bank from literally anywhere.
Literally anywhere.
I guess that is nice. On the other hand, I can just bip into Mistlock.
Yes.
That's why I didn't use it myself.
Not the only one that works that way either. Like there's a bunch of ways you could do this for a lot less than 5,000 gold.
That's what I was thinking.
But there are quite a few people playing this game who have been playing for a long time and have truly absurd amounts of money.
And are willing to just like
tens of thousands of gold.
I mean, there are people that just do nothing but farm drizzlewood.
Yeah.
And make obscene amounts of gold per hour, and they've got it, their efficiency dialed in to where they can just print gold.
Like these are the people. Well, and there are also people who are just willing to buy a lot of gold with gems. Like some people have a lot of money in the real world, and want to spend some of that on the game. And this is how you end up with people who have, for instance, like 8 identical glowy char that sit in Mistlock and dance. Just because.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I should apologize for my luck. That's all I'm saying. Like I really feel like I should apologize because it's dumb. But I mean,
it's been well established at this point, I think.
I know.
Yeah.
It's super dumb.
Like, this is just how it goes with Bell in any MMO.
Yep.
It's a force of nature.
But I have now made my way through Path of Fire. I have made my way through Living World 4.
Mm-hmm.
I am a couple chapters into Living World 5. So here's the thing, like, the story of this game continues to improve every single content drop.
Yes.
And the weird thing about this, though, is so this is kind of a double. We're going to knock out two of my topics in one. Is the community for Guild Wars 2 seems real hungry for anyone to give a damn about this game.
Yes.
Because I have to say I have been embraced by the Guild Wars community is just an understatement. Like, they're real hungry for anybody to talk excitedly about their game because it's 10 years of them not really getting the time of day from MMO players. And so I have a bunch of people at different points in playing in Guild Wars 2 commenting on my blog. And
we talked about this a lot, but the game's initial marketing did it no favors.
No, it did not.
So the weird thing about this is like, I have players that are like kind of with me, like, oh, hey, it's getting better every time. Then I've got one guy that like apparently really liked the game at release and thought Path of Fire was just trash. And I thought Path of Fire was a really good expansion. Like,
yeah, I thought Path of Fire was fantastic.
Like, it's got a great flow to it. Like, I never felt like I had a slow time.
Yeah, so what I would say, and I maybe I can see where something's coming, Path of Fire irreparably changed how you interact with the world. And if you liked how you interacted with the world before Path of Fire, that's gone now. Like, people can just fly through zones now. And I could understand being like, traveling through zones used to be hard, and now mounts sort of trivialize a lot of the exploration and jumping puzzles.
I am so happy they trivialize exploration and jumping puzzles.
I'm right there with you. I'm just like, I'm trying to see, like, I was like, what changed in Path of Fire? And mounts changed in Path of Fire.
Well, let's be clear. They don't trivialize exploration to anywhere near the extent that, say, World of Warcraft mounts do.
No, they definitely don't do
but
that.
But they do speed things up.
But there's some stuff that I just couldn't do before that I can now do.
Yeah.
Like, there is no Guild Wars 2 mount that lets you just fly up into the stratosphere and stay there forever.
But like, having played with the sky scale, like, that's almost that.
Sky scale allows you to travel in upward quite a bit, and then in sort of umbrella shape is where you can go with a sky scale.
Yeah.
Because you can't, like, there's limits to how far it can take you horizontally at the same height.
I mean, I don't have the sky scale, but I feel like the Springer allows me to trivialize.
I do think the Springer is stronger in a lot of cases.
Well, like, once I had a Raptor and a Springer, I can solve most puzzles. Like, those give me enough tools to be able to do whatever I need to do.
Well, and notably, those are the two that are required for the Path of Fire story, and that if you don't have them when you start End of Dragons, you get both of them in New Kaining City.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Huh.
I will also say that
I don't think you can upgrade them any, because, you know, those are Path of Fire masteries.
Sure.
But you have them at least at their base ability.
I do feel like because a lot of this game is following around a crowd, it also means that you kind of have to have them to be able to follow the crowd. I actually have a bit of a challenge following the crowd because I don't have a sky scale.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is like, without a sky scale, I feel very limited on metas, especially that involve me to move across real fast over an open pit, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think that previously there was, because I remember we talked about mounts years back, and a comment Grace had really stuck with me, where if I remember your comment correctly, you were like, well, I one of the things that I like to do in WoW is fly up and get a good view and just hover there and look around. And I feel like the sky scale gets you there. Like that's because that was missing before. And I feel like every mount has a role, and I really feel like there's now like a sensible place for every one of them.
I will tell you, like, the one thing that is missing from the game is something I am using an add-on to give me, is a really quick, easy way to rapidly switch between mounts without having to set a bunch of hotkeys.
Yeah, I just have them bound to my arrow keys.
So like I whenever I hit my mount key, it brings up a radial wheel, and I just go after, like, if I tap my mount key, it gives me either the raptor or the skimmer, depending on if I'm in the water or if I'm on land. And otherwise, if I hold the mount key, it gives me a radial wheel of every mount that I have.
That's clever.
So, like, that is a huge quality of life to me, because, like, really, that is annoying to have to swap between your different kinds of mounts, because, like, Bamf Dog is the one that I use the least. But, like, when I need it, I absolutely need it.
Bamf Dog is faster than the Raptor if you're going uphill.
He is.
And for reference, Bamf is the sound that Nightcrawler makes.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there's a certain group of people that will understand that, but there's another group of people that will be confused as hell probably by that statement. And the Jackal is a dog that teleports short distances.
It's a sand dog. Made of sand.
Anyway, so basically, like, I think that the story is tightening up, and there have absolutely been some moments where, like, I teared up because events were happening.
Yeah, I'm sad right now.
And that is a thing that I never thought I would reach after playing through the personal story and Heart of Thorns story.
Oh my goodness.
Like, yeah, up through Heart of Thorns, like, yeah, sure, characters died, and most people are like, yeah, good riddance.
I mean, like, you know, we lost a cabbage that I didn't know why I should care about.
Oh no!
Oh man, Traherne was honestly the character I cared about the most from the original story. Which let me be clear, that's not a high bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
a real low bar.
I mean, I will give you that he is less awful than Destiny's Edge.
Yeah. Yep. Traherne is a decent guy, you know,
Traherne is a decent guy trying to do a job, and he did his job, and it meant he died to do it. So,
but, like, as a necromancer, I am pissed at him. He is a hacker. I can't have 5 flesh golems.
Yeah, no.
What the hell's with that? I want 5 tank pets out all the time. Anyway. And I will say, like, Living World Season 4, again, was a big step forward.
Yeah, Living World Season 4 is fantastic. Like, they did
and so far,
interesting stuff.
Living World Season 5 is another leap forward. So I'm getting honestly anxious to get to, you know, Cantha and try that out, because, like, I think that it is going in a trajectory that is going to keep getting better.
Yeah, I think Season 5, Icebrood Saga trips a bit at the finish line, but it does not appear that Cantha is starting poorly for it. So
it does not. Yeah, Icebrood Saga started off very, very strong and has some issues towards the end. But Cantha is fantastic.
I've been enjoying Season 4. I thought Season 3 was pretty good.
I have been going back through Season 2. Season 2 is far less good than Season 3 or Season 4.
Yep.
Yeah, no. Season 2 has a pretty fatal flaw associated with it.
Yeah, I mean, Season 2 is basically, who the hell are all these people?
Yeah.
That's not its only flaw. Not by a long shot.
But it is a fatal flaw.
But yeah, even when you're coming back to it after, like
I know who these people are now.
But I know I really like them all. So yeah, that part's fine.
I'm looking forward to the 19th, when the first chapter of Living World Season 1 drops, and I can see what the hell I missed.
Yeah.
And maybe why I should have cared about these characters. Like, I have gone to the place where I now care about all of Dragon's Watch.
Yes.
But, like, it was a journey for some of them. Bram.
You can say Bram.
Bram is awful until he's not.
Yes. Bram finally works through all his mommy issues and embraces his inner himbo, and all is well.
I feel like Bram got the joke is like, even in her trying to provide closure to her son, Air is the worst.
She's still awful. Like, she's horrible.
She's like, oh man, like, yeah, it sucks that I didn't raise you, but like, come on,
just get over it.
Raise you? Like, would like, I wanted to do cool stuff. Would you have wanted to like raise a kid that's stupid like you while you could be doing cool stuff? I clearly made the right decision. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, even before I knew Bram was a thing, I still didn't like Air.
There's like Air's not my least favorite member of Dragon's Watch.
Oh, she's somehow getting there.
I mean, like,
great.
Least favorite members of Destiny's Edge.
I mean, of Destiny's Edge, yeah.
Is a tie between Zoja and Logan.
I feel like I don't know enough about Zoja. Like, Zoja did not seem like a problem to me. I mean, know.
Zoja, if you're not Azura, is just kind of universally shitty to you.
Yeah, she's
that
basically
kind of doesn't change that much, even if you are.
Yeah, she's all of Timey's I'm smarter than you without any of the humor and silliness. Like, Timey is so much better than Zoja, while being just as sure of being smarter than everybody else in the room.
It starts off as a comic relief character, but like quickly turns into not a comic relief character and a 100% good character.
I don't know. Zoja didn't bother me, and then like, honestly, I feel like Zoja. I cannot tell you the story of Zoja. Her character was basically dropped.
Yeah, no,
I mean, her story is almost entirely told through the dungeons because she's kind of doesn't do a whole lot other than that.
Yeah,
her attempting to
it's
get revenge on dude.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. She really hated Air and Logan for letting her mentor die.
Yes.
Yeah, for letting Snaf die.
Yeah, I do remember that now.
She's like a really bad name for a character. I'm sorry.
Snaf.
If Snaf is going to be anything, like, it should have been a Char.
Snarf.
Exactly.
I was, but like, the only member of Destiny's Edge that didn't suck from the start was Kaith, and they made sure to get her in season 2.
I feel like Kaith. So like, I one of my comments on the Guild Wars 2 story is that it is starting from a much worse place generally than FF14 story.
Mm-hmm.
It's also starting from a book that was not in the game.
Yeah, well, yes. Look, once upon a time in the early 2000s, a bunch of people read the forewords for a bunch of books about transmedia storytelling and then talked about these books, having not read them, and made a bunch of very bad business decisions about transmedia storytelling.
I was going to say, I have read this actual book. It does not say you should do this.
But that's still how the story works in World of Warcraft.
I was going to say, apparently World of Warcraft is still doing this thing. So, you know.
Anyway, I don't know. Like, I'm slowly catching up, and I'm happy to be catching up.
But you're saying about Kaith, Tam?
Sorry, the place I was going with that was, I think that it starts from a much less good place than FF14 does, but it is following an equally, if not greater, upward trajectory.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, I did just start leveling a character, and I'm here to say the best decision they ever made was to never do those side-by-side conversations ever again.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Because I was like, I was like, man, this game does a really cool like storytelling thing, and I was even talking about it. Like a big criticism I have with Final Fantasy 14 is like it locks me into place, and like it really feels good in Guild Wars to be able to sort of wander around a scene and like turn my head and have agency over my character as they're like talking this dialogue out. And then like it snapped me into one of those. I was like, oh right, this is how it used to be, and this is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so bad.
Yeah, going back to those is always real weird.
I was like, oh, I should do my personal story, and I've remembered that. I
No,
was like,
you shouldn't.
No, don't.
No, I shouldn't do my
I
personal
wish there was a
story.
reason to do them, just because it would make it feel valuable to do it. Because the game certainly wants to keep, snapping you back to doing it anytime you don't have any other quest chosen.
I mean, there's a few Black Lion keys in there. That's real valuable for you, Belle.
Like, I kind of want to learn.
True.
I kind of want to learn who Lord Farron is.
Lord Farron.
You don't.
Start a human.
No, Lord
You
Farron is
don't.
fantastic.
No, you don't.
He's the
You start
best.
a human noble, then yes, okay, that's a thing you should do.
Human
I'm
noble
trying-
is probably one of the better.
You should play the level 10 story, and then you should forget that your storyline exists.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You should at least run the level 10 story. You start as a human noble.
Lord Farron was the judge of Divinity Reach's fanciest cat competition, and I want there to be another one.
The problem I have with Lord Farron is he is exactly a character from ESO. He's Darian Gautier.
Who do you think the inspiration for Darian was?
like, I mean, it's exactly that character. Like, I didn't like him in ESO. I don't like him in Guild Wars 2.
Well, and impressively, like, even Lord Farron, who is total comic relief starting out, like, gets growth.
Gets his moment. He gets
I mean,
periodically.
I don't like pompous douche nozzle characters. Like, I really don't. I don't like Emmeline in Final Fantasy 14.
But he's so cheerful about it and so nice. Like, he just wants to be your best friend.
Yes.
No.
And he has good dance moves, apparently.
Farron is the biggest himbo in the game.
Oh, yeah.
By an absolutely unbelievable margin.
Yeah. And when he gets, shipwrecked in the middle of the Maguma jungle, he immediately becomes Tarzan, because of course he does.
That's what lords do in the jungle, apparently.
Exactly.
He was read a bunch of books about it. I do think, I think that there's like Final Fantasy 14 continues to be telling excellent stories, and Guild Wars 2 is getting there, and I think does get there, it gets to hit similar notes. But I do think that your friend who betrays you arc is done better in Guild Wars 2.
Yes.
I think
sure.
And everything that happens after Kaith, up to and including her crowning moment of awesome in Living World Season 4 it's how
good.
you do that in a way that doesn't make me continue to hate a character and call him urine jar.
Yeah. Like, because I absolutely hated Kaith after,
I did for a long while. Yeah.
And well into season 3.
Uh-huh.
But Kaith apologizes to you. Like, I'm pretty sure we talked about this before on the podcast, but your character is allowed to be angry at Kaith, and tell her very clearly that this sucks and I no longer trust you. And Kaith apologizes and means it.
Yeah.
And doesn't expect you to just be like, okay, everything's okay now.
Yeah, and then spends the next 5 chapters of the story working to rebuild that broken trust.
Yeah.
Like actually doing meaningful, real things.
Yeah.
I need someone I could trust. Could you call Timey in here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, it's like, I mean, yeah, your character gets some lines that are just like, wow, that's like, I don't know that I feel that strongly. Like, wow, that was mean.
Yeah, I feel like Guild Wars 2 does a very good job with like all of those situations where you're dealing with someone that you don't fully trust and are not sure that you really want to be. Like early on dealing with Canuck, when you put this guy in jail. He's responsible for a lot of people dying.
But that's in season 1, so you might not even know about it.
Yeah, but like you're pretty mean to Canuck early on.
I'm not gonna say that's undeserved.
And
Like, I had no clue why we didn't like Canuck.
Yeah.
Like, the game tells me I didn't like Canuck, and he seems fine. He's a little, surly, but
yeah, but no, it's because Karka are his fault.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, that's a very good reason not.
Good
to like
times. Karka are annoying as shit. Like,
yeah.
Could he just make them where they don't heal up to 50%? They would be fine if they didn't do that. I like killing Karka. I just don't like having to re-kill them. You fix that, I'm fine with Karka. It's resolved.
And Canuck is like one of my favorite characters now. He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Canuck is amazing. But yes, when he is reintroduced in season 2 as someone working for Countess Anise, your character does not trust him for a good reason.
Yeah.
And it's entirely unexplained if you just start in season 2, which sucks. But
yeah.
We've also, I guess, learned that if you're going to tell a long-form story, you need to always be able to get the long-form story.
Yes, well.
I was actually having a lengthy conversation about the nature of art and with my partner earlier today. And like, I am on record as saying I think that it would be I'm on record as having said that something like season 1 would be a really cool experience for an MMO to give it history and so forth. But like that's incorrect. And like trying to understand why that's not correct, because it's having something be ephemeral and temporary in other media is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'm not going to lie, though. Like, this is what's happening in Destiny 2 right now. And it's also the single worst thing about Destiny 2.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's interesting to me to think like there's some stuff that's really, really powerful in other media as far as like being temporary and so forth. Like I'm thinking of just because it was on my mind, but like the Banksy piece at the auction that immediately upon the auction completing shredded itself without anybody realizing that was, or without very many people realizing that was what was going to happen. And like there's some powerful statements in there. But like what is it about the video game experience that makes that not okay? Not functional.
So
because they're
I
going to
don't
want to
think
make
it
money
is
from
not
it
okay.
over time.
Well, first of all, I don't think it is not okay because things like FF14 runs holiday events once ever. They run a different holiday event every single freaking year.
Yeah, so those are bits of story that you can never experience again, and if you miss them, you just missed them.
What?
But they're not key to the overall story of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And also, they usually put the items that you can get off those on the cash shop, so you can at least buy it if you really, really, really care.
There's a very big example here that I feel is going to be controversial, so maybe I'll just bring. What about the opening of Encourage?
Terrible.
That was a horrible idea.
Oh, I really liked it.
I like it in theory, but it has done nothing but bring about bad feelings in the players.
Yeah.
And so many things that are ephemeral like that, when they're really big things, they can create this great sense of memory and history for the people who were there, and a great sense of resentment for everybody who comes after or who happened to miss out on that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a bunch of people that got real sick and tired of us talking about how cool the Zul'Gurub plague was. I mean, that's an ephemeral moment that was because of a bug.
Yeah.
And thankfully you can never do it again, but
yeah,
but like it was a moment that nobody else can experience.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of what Grace was saying was it's sort of parallel to what I was thinking. Was it's like a lot of the thing about a lot of art pieces, if you have a limited screening of a movie and then you destroy all copies of it afterward, or have a piece of art that is then shredded or whatever the case may be, the investment that you're asking from somebody to become engaged enough to understand what's going on is a few minutes, an hour, seconds in some cases. Whereas in a video game, not only are you talking a lot longer than that, many, many hours, you're also talking about a medium that is inherently, I hesitate to say collaborative, but the engagement on the part of the audience is an inherent part of the game. Like you can make games that don't really care about the input of the player, and they're bad games. Like it is often a flaw in a game for it to kind of flagrantly not care about what the player's doing.
Well, in something like, Guild Wars 2 Season 1, you end up with the situation where my character experienced these events, but I did not. And that's
that's
weird
a
and
problem.
off-putting.
Well, I mean, it's a cliff. Like really, when I finished the personal story and started Living World Season 2 for the very first time, having not experienced any of Living World Season 1, it felt awful because, like, here's all these characters that the game tells me I'm supposed to care about, but I have no idea who any of them are. Like, I was so confused.
You roll up and you're like, hey, buddy. And you're like, who the hell is this person?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same sort of problem that you run into with, having important information in a book that I haven't read. But in that situation, if I want to, I could go find the book and read it some way or another.
But okay, so this
I don't even have that option here.
I do think the fact that if you are telling a story where your character knows more than you, that's definitely a problem. But like, is it possible to have a character that exists, that postdates, whose existence postdates these events?
I mean, Cataclysm was that. And it still kind of felt bad because even though your character's existence is after those events still took place in the years or in the world and in the minds of players and were still referenced regularly.
Yeah, it's like you've got the does a Mancrick's wife reference make any sense at all to somebody who starts playing World of Warcraft in 2020?
Yeah.
And is that the kind of, hey, I didn't get that, can somebody explain it to me, that drives curiosity versus this game makes no sense. This is dumb.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of ephemeral moments that happen that can't be fully relived, but also that's no fault of anyone. Like, for example, Death of Superman. Death of Superman was a thing, and it was a weird time in comics.
Mm-hmm.
And it is impossible to fully understand the gravity of how that played out in the world.
Well, especially coming in
but
now.
You can read all those comics.
But yeah.
Like, you won't have a complete and total understanding of what happened and the way it felt, but you can still read all those comics.
Yeah, especially because for comics readers now, like, characters die and they come back. It's just, it's a thing that happens. It happens all the time, to the point that in X-Men, they literally made it part of the story that they have a way to bring back any mutant that dies. Like, specifically because death had become so devalued. That's why they decided to do it. When Superman died, this was not the case. And so, like, it's a completely different feeling. And you can't recapture that.
Yeah.
Like, the zeitgeist was so different then.
Well, it's the difference between being present for a raid tier in an MMO and going through that with a group of people. That experience is different for everybody. Going through the raids and fighting bosses at level with the gear that's available is an experience that, for the most part, happens at that time. But people can go back and see the raid, see the story.
Mm-hmm.
The experience of it as it happened is not something that can be recaptured.
Yeah. But experiences like that have always been, to a degree, unique to the individual. So, It's less. It doesn't seem that strange.
Right. Whereas just losing a large chunk of story where the game expects you to know it, but you didn't get to experience it and have no way to find it is pretty off-putting.
Yeah, it would probably be much less bad if, like FF14 festivals, it's a piece of story that is not relevant to anything else you're doing.
Yeah, if it's its own little thing off to the side that,
Yeah, I mean, like, back to the Destiny example, the problem there is, like, the first 5 content drops for the game just don't exist anymore at all in any form.
Weird.
Like the first several years of the game just got erased.
Yeah, it's just, I don't like it.
So you say like this happens in other media. I'm curious what you're referring to.
I mean, so I was thinking of like, I mean, there's definitely been movies that are like this movie is screened and then never shown again. And then it's usually like art house films, to be fair. But
or like historically musical theater.
Yeah.
There are so many Broadway and off-Broadway plays that, like, we know that they exist, that they were put on, but there's like, and you could find like the script for it and read it,
yeah,
but
like
there's no way to see it.
Yeah,
Certainly.
like, I mean, yeah, theater is inherently this, where the performance is going to be different.
Well, concerts are
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, any
but
sort of
the
like
difference
live thing like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but so like I guess I would say there is transient and persistent media, right? Like there are, I mean, you can try and do this artificially with a movie, I guess. And I guess you could try and do this artificially with a video game, and I don't see how that would be different. Like you give a game to one person and then destroy the source code after they finish playing it.
I mean,
didn't Matty Thorson basically just do this?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean that there are absolutely games that are like just lost, gone forever, even not necessarily intentionally, but
I mean, I can't play Supersonic Saves the World.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
Okay, but what if a new big game came out that was a sequel to it and relied on all sorts of information from that game that you never played and can't play?
I mean,
that's the thing. Like the investment is small, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And the thing is like it used to be that there was this whole sequence of games that ran on the GameSpy network that were effectively unplayable. But like in many cases, people have figured out ways to emulate the servers and bring the games back online. Hell,
so
no one thought WildStar was ever going to make a comeback, but there's an active project slowly bringing it back bit by bit as a fan project. So like City of Heroes, like it has thriving, player run servers, and there wasn't really much of an emulation scene prior to that game going away.
Yeah. We're still never getting Marvel Heroes back.
No.
Like you say that, but I don't know. Like I never thought
litigious. It ain't happening.
Disney will kill it even if
I never thought WildStar was going to start making a comeback. It's not here, but like I have faith that it will be at some point.
Right, but NCSoft is having, at least since they left City of Heroes alone, so probably leave WildStar alone. Disney is not going to leave Marvel anything alone.
Yeah, but definitely. Blizz really tried to kill WoW emulators and not successfully.
Look,
so
Blizzard is not the mouse.
Yeah.
I
like you want to see the federal government pass laws outlawing video game emulation? Try and bring Marvel Heroes back.
It was so good though.
I do think there are like kind of different conversations happening here between a transient, persistent world, which doesn't necessarily work, and a transient video game experience, which I think...
So I don't think there's anything wrong with a transient video game experience. I think there is absolutely something wrong with transient experiences in persistent games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's all about expectation. Like,
and yeah, maybe we're hitting on the head with those words like transient and persistent are kind of at odds with each other.
Yeah, you need to pick one of those two things.
And again, I don't even think it's universally bad. Like, I think the Final Fantasy holidays are fine. I think it is fine to do some transient things. They just can't be important by like almost any definition of the word.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some transient experiences in the PvP experience, right?
I mean, there's also transient.
If you consider every sporting event also transient.
I mean, I kind of do.
Well, I mean,
the live performance.
To go back to what Grace said about raid tiers, even more than just a raid tier, the experience of raiding with a specific raid group is a transient experience that can never come back.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a first kill in Blackwing Lair will never be anything you can ever experience again.
Yeah.
You know, us taking down Syndragosa and Thalen getting the killing shot and dying and we're all dead, but we won. Like, that's not an experience that we're ever going to really get back, but it was hilarious. So like there are transient experiences, but like there's a certain expectation that if you are paying to play a persistent world, that the content will be available persistently.
Unless I would argue, unless your worlds are explicitly transient and not building. Like, I can imagine a world where cycles occur, and then like the idea is that you play through a season and then you start a character again.
I mean, Crowfall builds something like this.
Exactly.
Not good. Not good.
Is Crowfall live?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been live
for some time.
Oh,
it launched in 2020, I think.
I also think that.
Dear me.
And you could, you have games like Diablo 3 where you have seasons and that experience is transient, but you never lose access to the story.
Right.
Or the things that you get out of it. I mean, yeah.
I mean, Path of Exile is the same way with their ladders or whatever they call them, where like there's a unique flavor that you can play for a while, but like once it's gone, it's gone. But it sets an expectation that that's how it's going to work. And I mean, and to be fair, like
Fortnite
does it too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, like if Living World season 1 and season 2 and season 3 had been these ephemeral things and set a pattern, then it wouldn't be a big deal. But like there's a hole now.
Yeah, they were big, long narratives. That was the problem.
They're a bad idea for any game that you're expecting someone to pick up and want to play, not on release day.
That, like, as soon as you have a transient experience that is meeting a character for the first time, that you expect every character in the future to be like, you're basically saying, this game only works for everyone who is currently playing this game. No future players will understand this. Yeah, there's a problem there.
Yeah. Well, I would say that it's equivalent to, publishing an ongoing series of books with a single long ongoing story and then letting volume 3 fall out of print. Like you're going to have a hard time getting people to pick up, volumes 4 and on.
I mean, it was an interesting idea, but it was a bad idea.
Yeah, we learned things.
I feel like what Destiny's doing now is also just a bad idea, but like there's other people that don't feel that way, so more power to them, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at some level,
Fortnite works, right? That's how I'm just gonna say it, monetize FOMO.
Yeah.
But that feels so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like FOMO feels bad. And maybe it's just that I am an old man and I am too old for this shit. But like, it feels bad. It just feels horrible to like feel like I'm missing out on something and have to play catch up or lose it forever.
And I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit I'm contrary enough to say no. Like, if I can't keep up and I can't participate fully, then I'm just not going to try. It is not worth my time to start.
I mean, I've not played the latest Destiny expansion. Like, I was contemplating it, but I just haven't, because I don't like this concept that I'm going to a world that is smaller than the one I entered or I left when I last played.
Yeah, like notably, I was playing Destiny 2 a fair bit.
Yeah.
And then they announced that they were going to, shut off half of the existing content, and I've just never logged back in.
I mean, even Super Adventure Box feels that way for me. Like, I know I could be grinding away to collect stuff, to buy some stuff, but like, I don't know if I care enough to do it. I'd rather do other things.
Yeah.
And also, you do know it'll be back next year.
Yep. It will be. Yeah. I mean, and it's like, if I miss a holiday event in Final Fantasy 14, I don't really care that much. Like, I know if there was a significant item that you could get, you can eventually pick it up off the in-game store.
And the unspoken thing right there is you also know that because it's a holiday event, it is not narratively relevant. So you don't have to care about the story.
It won't move the needle forward. But the stuff that does matter, I know, hell, I can batch up an entire expansion's worth of, additional content and play it all through at once. And it's great that way. I mean, that's how I consume Elder Scrolls Online. I enjoy going back every so often and playing through a ton of content. And like, I am nowhere near caught up. I will probably never be caught up.
I'm not sure I will ever be caught up in that game.
Right. Like, the release schedule is too much, but like, I don't feel FOMO over it. Like, I know it is sitting there waiting on me when I get the idea to play it again. And I think to some extent, that's part of what annoyed me about World of Warcraft for the last couple of expansions, because they kind of built in FOMO mechanics with power gain through external power systems that if you weren't doing your wizard chores every single week, you fell behind and you could never catch up. I mean, and granted, like, it's been 16 months since I played World of Warcraft for other reasons, but like, that was a major nail in the coffin for me long before other issues happened. I didn't like the feeling that like I was permanently behind. Anyway, let's talk about Wobbledogs. I don't know what the heck this is.
Wobbledogs.
Oh, Wobbledogs.
All right, so can we just preface this conversation by saying that people in this podcast occasionally gift each other games, and you can never quite be sure if it is a kind, thoughtful gift because they thought you might like this, or you're getting completely griefed.
Yes.
Yep.
The game might be Bad Rats.
or whatever that Russian bear thing that was unplayable.
Yeah. And so enter Wobbledogs, which is just a charming game about wobbly dogs, and you can pet the dogs and you can breed the dogs, and like, for me this goes back to, I don't know, the love of these sort of weird kinds of games where you have you're collecting monsters or dogs or whatever and breeding them and seeing what combinations you get, and it's delightful. Wobbledogs, the color and pattern and mutations of the dogs are based in part on the flora in their gut, which is sort of an interesting mechanic. So depending on what kinds of things they eat, they get different gut bacteria, and then they mutate into different things at different life stages. And yes, these dogs have life stages, and they actually like pupate in a cocoon.
I love this lead that you're burying, by the way. That's all I'll say for the moment, but I love it.
I mean, just, you hatch a dog egg and you get a baby dog, and it grows and it pupates, and then it's an adult wobble dog after several hatchings. Yeah, it's real weird.
Do you
I
remember?
love it.
Remember? Because I feel like there's an
sort of
important...
sounding like a very fancy version of like Tamagotchis or Monster Rancher.
Kinda.
I mean, do
you
remember reading about
you
this
remember those
game.
90s commercials for Jello Jigglers?
Yeah, these dogs' bodies are like...
I mean, they're Wobbledogs. It's right there in the name.
They're yeah, but their bodies are rectangular prisms. And their legs are they have more joints than a typical dog. I'm fairly certain.
So what you're saying is they were created by someone who's never seen a dog, but heard one loosely described.
They do remind me somewhat of like when you find pictures of cats in ancient in old middle yes. English manuscripts. Yeah.
And you can absolutely breed wobble dogs that are so deformed that they cannot function. Like, I've absolutely hatched a dog egg, and the poor little dog has like a body that is smaller than its head, and its little legs just flail. You have to bring food to it. It's very sad.
So just like actual dog breeding.
It's going to do its level best, but it is operating on some limited ability here.
But it
tried to make a teacup, but only got half the way.
Yeah. But so you breed these dogs, you can name them, like you pet them, you raise them, they're adorable, and then in the cycle of life, the dogs get old, and eventually this dog that you have nurtured from a tiny egg will just die, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then all of the other dogs will come and happily eat the corpse.
Wow.
That's real dark.
And there's a setting in the game that you can turn this off because, I mean, why would you not turn this off? Except that there's, some of the mutations come from these gut bacteria, and some of those bacteria can only be found by eating the parts of another dead wobble dog. And so this is the part where I was like, am I being trolled? This game is delightful until it's not.
I didn't know about this. When I got the game.
Wobbledogs has some real big Bug Snacks energy.
That was not disclosed to me when this game was pitched to me as a thing that you might be interested in.
It's great. I put maybe 10 hours into this thing, just wobbling these dogs and feeding them pizza and burritos.
And then the other shoe dropped.
Then my dog died, and all his friends howled sadly and then ate his corpse. The cycle of life.
Yeah.
Anyway, the game is, I mean, there's weird, deep, like, mixing and breeding and finding all of the bacteria. Like, the dogs occasionally will, I don't know, poop out like plastic egg capsules that have cool stuff inside. So like you can decorate their room in more fun ways, and that's cool. One thing I didn't know is that they'll just start digging in their little, like, they're in like a little room, has a carpet, but they'll just dig because they're dogs. And eventually, if you just let them keep digging, they'll just like dig themselves a little cave. And eventually they'll excavate a whole little like house in there.
Oh, so they live underground. Okay.
It's a real weird game that is delightful and horrifying in almost equal parts. It's a little more delightful most of the time, but yeah, if you have problems, like concerns about like deformed, sad dogs that can't feed themselves, or dogs eating other dogs. At least the game has a very nice warning at the front that's like, don't feed your dog things that Wobbledogs eat, because all of the Wobbledog food in the game is just random people food, garlic bread and burritos and nacho snacks. Like, that's kind, but also don't let your dog eat other dogs.
No. Well, I see the Wobbledogs travel around via vacuum tubes.
Yes.
That seems like a thing. I wonder what Wobbledogs taste like.
I mean, I'm guessing Jello Jigglers.
I mean,
maybe
they kind of look like Starburst candies.
I mean, like I am personally picturing that it's like, you know, the gelatinous stuff on the top of a can of Spam.
Oh gosh!
Wow! Wow, Val.
So you know where I went with it. You know, oh god, I just had it. The like marshmallow people.
Oh, Peeps?
No, not Peeps. No. There's like a cartoon that has marshmallow people.
There is.
Mean.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, all that comes to mind immediately is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I'm not sure that's where you were going.
No, they're like little marshmallow people, and they have a whole thing where like it's just like a whole self-contained thing that because they're like made of candy, you just deal with the fact that they get eaten sometimes, but I can't remember the name of it. Oh, this is a Spanish language cartoon.
Okay, well that would be I don't recognize it.
Yeah, okay, never mind. I'll pivot instead into Viva Pinata, which had similar like this is very charming. And then also like, hold on, wait. I need to not think about this one too hard.
Viva Pinata was kind of amazing, but also, yes, kind of horrifying if you stop to think about it for more than a second.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I see also Bug Snacks, same energy, like super adorable, super charming, occasionally deeply disturbing.
Occasionally?
Honestly, less frequent than you would think.
All right.
It's just
I haven't played it.
It's just that when it is, you're like, hold on, what just happened here? I do enjoy Wobbledogs. It's very charming.
It's charming. If you want a game where you can breed dogs, but if you want a shiny white dog, you have to, feed it exclusively on the baby teeth of other dogs. It's a great game.
Oh my god.
Why? That's terrifying for all sorts of reasons.
I mean, but they naturally lose their baby teeth.
Yeah, I mean that at least that's not, your pal, this corpse. That's just natural baby teeth. That's fine, right? You can just feed the other dogs some steady diet of teeth. Turn them shiny and white.
I was not prepared for the level of weird in this game. That's all I have to say.
That is giving me bad memories of the Teen Titans Go episode where they start eating teeth that they stole from the Tooth Fairy.
Yikes.
I missed that one.
It's a real bad episode. It has maybe generated some nightmares.
This game is adorable and terrifying and great. And yeah, if the weird, horrifying parts don't gross you out, then it's probably worth checking out.
This is 100% one of those games that like kids between the ages of like 4 and 7 would be really, really, really into, and their parents would be like, "What is happening?"
Yeah, but I definitely do think that it is worth knowing some of this weirdness going in, because it was a little shocking in the moment. But it's fun to have a game that surprises you in a new way.
So while I was the one who actually bought it, I blamed him for this. Just to be clear.
Wait, what?
You're the one who told me about this game and gave me the suggestion.
Hey, it's delightful, and I'll blame both of you happily.
As well, you should.
Okay. What is Ultimate Cup Z?
Hilarious. Ultimate Cup Z is hilarious. So, a bit of a history lesson. Once upon a time, there was a Kirby game called Kirby Superstar. It came out on the Super Nintendo and was like a whole bunch of games in one. Its very first campaign was like a remake of Kirby's Dream Land 1. Mm-hmm. And then proceeded to have a bunch of other things. But one of the things it did was it had the arena, which was just a boss rush of all of the bosses that were in the game. Fast forward a lot, and it got a remake on the DS called Kirby Superstar Ultra, which was, I want to say, the first Kirby game under the current director of the series. Okay. This brought back everything Superstar had, but added some additional stuff, including a mode where you played as Meta Knight, a mode where you got to play as the helper characters, and the true arena, which had souped-up versions of some of the bosses, including some of the bonus bosses, and in the end had its own unique ending boss, which was a harder version of the Milky Way Wish's final boss. The true arena has therefore been a feature in every Kirby game going forward, in some way or another.
And there is a Coliseum in the Forgotten Land, and it's where you go and you can have a fight with Meta Knight, because Meta Knight wants to challenge himself. And it's where you can go and have a fight with all of the bosses after the game's done. And then after the game's actually done, you can do Ultimate Cup Z.
Ultimate Cup Z, continuing the tradition of the true arena before it, does have some surprises in it.
It has... So my son and I, we were able to beat the final boss of the game, a cute little butterfly. And we got it with like a fraction of like a sliver of health each.
A cute little butterfly with two gigantic swords.
Two gigantic swords that are always on fire and also sows the entire arena. But then you unlock Ultimate Cup Z, in which you have to fight every single boss from the post game, and then including Morpho Knight again, as well as a phantom version of Meta Knight and a chaos version of the final boss. And I was so excited. Me and him, like, once again, scraped through. Like, we spent all of our resources, and turns out I have been looking up secrets to how to farm coins in that game. The secret is fishing. But
you have to be kind of good at fishing.
You, like so much stuff in Kirby, it's really easy to do it. It's really hard to get the best reward. So hard to get the best reward. But if you fail in the arena, you can pick up from where you left off. But it starts by costing 100 coins to continue. And then 200, then 400, then 800, then 1600. So I burned through a lot of coins because they don't give you enough health items for that mode.
No, they don't. The arena gave you like 4 max tomatoes. The true arena gave you 4 tiny tomatoes. And this tradition of cutting down your healing items has also continued every time it's reappeared.
And then I also so we encounter the boss. It is a hard boss fight. Like, straight up, that is a rough fight. There's a lot going on. You need to be dodging at the right moments. You need to be jumping at the right moments. You need to be floating at the right moments. You're going to be taking a bunch of hits. You're probably not going to be able to prevent the boss from healing, because the boss has an attack where it creates, in the normal version, 3 clones of itself, and you have to find the right one and damage it enough so that it doesn't heal half its health. In this version, there's 6 of them.
Oof. Is the circle still centered around the real one?
Oh, I should have thought about that. Dang it. That's probably what I will need to do once I go back to it. Anyways, I was so excited. We killed the boss, and then it was like, by the way, here's the phase 2, which is a completely new boss that we have not encountered before, and it wrecked my face.
God, we got some Final Fantasy Savage type stuff going on here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that is the true arena. They do it every single freaking time. It's freaking impossible. it is eventually beatable. Maybe if you get, like, I know we called this the Dark Souls of platformers the other day, but it kind of is.
So,
like, learning the boss patterns and figuring out how to actually beat all the bosses is where Kirby's difficulty usually is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's a couple of things that we could have done. Like we could have made sure we had consumables. We didn't have enough consumables for that. We should have taken in a Maxim tomato. We should have taken in. We should have buffed ourselves up with the double health buff. I mean, at any point we can try and do it in Spring Breeze mode.
I'm not sure that. I mean, that does give you more health. It doesn't necessarily give the enemies less damage.
It's fair. But yeah, it's a wild ride.
I'm kind of extra scared to eventually buy this game now because my son will make me try to play this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the story is not over once you get to the end credits. One of the bosses comes and asks for your help. Oh man, we should definitely have you get Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Oh,
geez.
Don't do that to somebody.
I just started playing this thing.
That game is good. I like that game a lot.
That game is.
However, that game has an ending, and when you get to it, it's not exactly an easy game, first of all, but it has a lot more after the ending.
Uh-huh.
At which point it takes all of the training wheels off. And you didn't realize they were on before, because this game is already kind of difficult, but yeah, they were. Believe me, they were. I like Mystery Dungeon, but its post-game is bullshit.
I don't know what you're talking about. For me, its post-game is rescuing people from level 33.
Yeah, level 33 Sky Tower. That's a thing, yes.
And then I get the level up items and I try and beef my characters up so that they can go and do any of the post-game content.
You can do the post-game content with other stuff. Like, you just need to have significant mastery over game systems.
Yeah. But yeah, mystery, like, I am now on the true end game, the final frontier of this nonsense. Kirby's a really good game.
Yes, Kirby Underground Land is the best Kirby game,
yeah,
I think, so far, and definitely a lot better than the previous one.
I have fond memories of Kirby's Adventure from when I was a child, and I never really got into it after that. And I've tried Star Allies a little bit, and it's not really my thing. This is my thing. This is so good.
I do think if you can get a hold of the 3DS ones, they're worth playing. Honestly, you might want to go directly to Robobot, which is the better of the two.
Okay.
Because even though it built on Triple Deluxe, I don't think Triple Deluxe is necessary for the enjoyment of Robobot.
There is some deep Kirby lore going on. The deep Kirby lore is always like all of the other characters have deep and interesting backgrounds, and then Kirby is shaped like a friend.
I mean, Kirby may or may not be some sort of eldritch abomination that just happens to be friendly.
Yeah.
Do we ever get any backstory onto what Kirby is?
Star Allies had a bit, but no, mostly no.
I mean, King DDD is the person with the greatest susceptibility to mind control ever.
Yes. King DDD, he of the fake final boss and mind controlled by absolutely every single other villain in the series. Except the Haltman Works Company, I guess, who just cloned him instead.
I really do appreciate in the Star Allies when you beat King DDD and like they do the fast roll of the credits. It's like, you beat King DDD. The game's over, right? No, everyone knows
that's the boss of World 1. They know it's not the end of the game. But yes.
So are the final bosses of Kirby always like terrifying and horrifying, or is the giant bloody eye like an outlier?
It's not an outlier.
No,
Kirby games are in the vein of Wobbledogs. Kirby is for as innocent and cheerful as it looks, is actually kind of horrifying.
Because I don't know, my kid like started up one of the ones that's available on the Virtual Console, and it like
Dreamland 3.
Yeah, and it started out with like this weird like dark thing flying through space, and it's like, this looks kind of creepy. What's going on?
Oh man, that's
Zero, I believe.
And I did a little I was actually trying to find out how to get rid of Gooey because he like created Gooey and didn't want him anymore, and figured that out. But in the process, was just looking around and stuff, and like came across some information on the boss of that game. It was like, oh, it's a giant eye that like tears out part of itself and shoots blood at you.
I mean,
Great.
that's also the boss of Kirby's Adventure.
Kirby's
Right?
Adventure had
Wow.
dark matter. No, Nightmare. Nightmare is the boss of Kirby's Adventure.
I thought it was the spiky cloud with an eye.
I mean, Krakow is an earlier boss.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Krakow
right.
does show up fairly regularly, but that's not really what we're talking about here.
No. It's the blue like looks like a black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
The start of a long tradition.
I never really played Kirby, so like up until that point, I had always thought Kirby was just like a cute game about flying around and eating fruit and getting cool powers from enemies and beating up a giant penguin dude.
It is also about that.
Surprise.
I mean, the end boss of this game is a giant blue angel creature with a spear that tears open holes in reality and hucks big rocks at you.
So wait a minute. At the end of this game, does Kirby have to attack and dethrone God?
Yes.
Is that where we're going? Okay. All right, I'm into it.
That's a thing too.
Yes.
Star Allies ends with the cult succeeding in their goal and resurrecting our dark god, and then you kill it because Kirby.
All right.
I mean, you send it off to a magical world in the vein of an isekai.
Well,
Hit it with a truck.
You correct.
All right. I feel like at some point, like we need. I mean, Super Mario RPG was a thing back in the day. Mario with Square. Like I feel like maybe we need Kirby and Final Fantasy. Just like double down on.
Now,
horrible gods.
clearly, we're going to put Kirby in Kingdom Hearts because that won't make any difference in the understandability.
I mean, we're getting Kingdom Hearts 4. Maybe he'll be in it.
And as Sora aged, his feet got smaller. Yeah, that was revealed this week, and I don't know if it will,
See ya in 10 years.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
Also, I still haven't played 3.
I haven't played anything other than part of the first one. I don't understand a bit of it.
A bit of the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer or a bit of Kingdom Hearts 1? Because I think Kingdom Hearts 1 is perfectly normal.
Anything.
Kingdom Hearts 1 was a perfectly coherent and understandable story.
Yeah, as Final Fantasy stories go, yes.
Fair. That thing we said earlier about missing narrative, there's a lot of narrative between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2.
There's so much, and it's in so many weird offshoot games involving like card battling and
Transmedia narrative.
And much as we discussed about this earlier, I played and loved Kingdom Hearts 1 and then have not gone back to the franchise since.
And I don't think that's a bad decision. I kind of do, because I think Kingdom Hearts 2 is a great game, but...
Yeah, but Kingdom Hearts 2 kind of drops you in the deep end. You're like, what's going on?
Yes.
Why am I playing somebody named Roxas? I don't understand. And
what is Nording?
Nording is a term made up by Brian David Gilbert.
And it is the best and most accurate description of how this series plot overall works.
Yes.
Yep.
There's some clones that have some other clones that have some other clones.
I am not going to defend the Kingdom Hearts narrative in any sense, other than to say it is understandable in the first game.
Didn't there some people in black coats with names like Xerox?
Like, I still don't know what that's about. I've read stuff and like
that one is actually explained in a game I played. Sadly, it's the one that came out on the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Because consistent storylines and simple. I mean, that's why they released a Story So Far collection, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is I have effectively the 1 and all the stuff and 2 and all the stuff, and one of these days I keep saying I should play it because my friends who love it really love it, but I'm scared.
So 1 is a kind of okay action game with a really cool story and an excellent premise, and that's why it got popular.
Mm-hmm.
2 is an excellent game, excellent action game with a sort of disjointed story, and and some of the side games are also quite good. Like Dream Drop Distance, while I did just say it made no sense to come out on 3DS, is perfectly fine on consoles and rather fun. Chain of Memories is also a game that exists, and maybe you should look up a plot synopsis of it, because I'm not sure I recommend playing it.
No.
I mean, does that also go for the math problem game?
What math problem game? You don't have a math problem game.
There's like 256 over 3 or...
Yeah.
They did not even put that game on that disc. You get the cutscenes from that game on that disc.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then.
I don't know the name of that game. I always think of it as a fraction.
358 Days Over 2 is the name of that game. No, it doesn't make sense. No, it's not written that way. Stop asking me to explain Kingdom Hearts, please.
And on that note, we should probably wrap things up.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts about anything we talked about tonight?
Wobbledogs.
So, April 19th,
Good.
story
Yay.
comes back.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully you enjoy the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya.